Welcome, it's Catherine Brillinger, and we're now in week 7 of the Teaching Pronunciation course at Conestoga College, and we're going to look now at video 10. Video 10 is divided into 3 parts because YouTube only allows a maximum of 12 minutes per video. So this is part 1, looking at chunking language into thought groups and adding intonation. Okay, press pause if you don't have paper and pen ready. You're going to need them for this review practice. Please follow the instructions. Write down the 2 sentences below, circle the content words, mark the vowels with major stress, cross out the function words, count the number of syllables, and transcribe the sentences into IPA, and then read the sentences aloud 3 to 7 times. So your first task was to divide the sentences into content and function words. So you can see in A we have 8 years past, met, fellow, and human, and in B we have felt, world, and own. So I would pronounce A as 8 years passed before she met a fellow human, 8 years passed before she met a fellow human, 8 years passed before she met a fellow human. And B, it felt as if she was in a world of her own. It felt as if she was in a world of her own. It felt as if she was in a world of her own. And you can hear that I'm emphasizing the content words much more strongly than the function words. So we need to help students to deliver the content words with greater emphasis. This will make their English much clearer. These words should be more acoustically salient or noticeable so that the listener's brain attends to them. To accomplish this, they are made longer, louder, and feature a complete or prototypical form of whatever vowel is in that content word's major stress syllable. And each content word features 1 unreduced vowel. So you can hear those in 8, years, past, met, fellow, human, felt, world, and own. So just to review again, all words are not weighted equally, and this is a major premise of English pronunciation. The content words are words that carry key meaning, the nouns, verbs, adjectives, some adverbs, negatives, demonstratives, and intensifiers. The function words give only grammatical information, so those are the pronouns, auxiliary verbs, modals, conjunctions, prepositions, and weak verbs. And it's an artifice or a pedagogical lie because we don't have an exact measurement, but in this course we'll give them a weight differential of 3 for the content words and 1 for the function words. If you keep thinking of a telegram or text message, you can leave out the unimportant things, which would be the function words. I don't have a partner. Now we'll look for a minute at the syllables and how they're weighted within those words. And we have to remember that all syllables are also not weighted equally. Stressed syllables have more value than unstressed syllables in terms of our hearing, and we weight them at approximately 3 to 1 as well. So we have, for example, incorporated with the aided becoming quite strong, and exactly with the ac becoming quite strong. If we apply this to our example sentences, we can see the syllables with main or major stress occur in words such as fellow and human, and of course in 8 years past and met, but it's easy to find them in the single syllable content words. In B, the only word that has more than 1 syllable is world, and some people would say that that is actually only 1 syllable, but it's much easier for ESL students to divide it into were and old with another schwa before the LD sound. So we need to help students to identify and focus on the stress syllable in multi-syllable words, because this is how native speakers of English process the words. In a single syllable content word, as I said, it's easy. So we need to help students make the stress vowel in its fullest form, really pull it out, really work on it. When we look at how function words are de-emphasized, we find that they become shorter, quieter, and they feature vowels that are not the clearest form of a particular vowel. So in sentence A, we have 8 years passed before she met a fellow human, before she met a fellow human, a fellow human, a fellow human. You can hear the function words reduced. And in B, it felt, as if she were in a world of her own, as if she were in a world of her own, as if she were in a world of her own. I hope that when you were repeating those to yourself, you could feel the reduction on those sentences, on those parts of the sentences, sorry. So we need to help students understand that yes, function words are important to grammar, and we certainly don't want to write without them, but we need to de-emphasize them, otherwise we would have to make the content word really loud in order to have it stand out in contrast. We also need to talk about the reduced vowel schwa, that upside down backward Z, and how frequently it occurs both in function words such as the, and, of, and have, which I just said in their citation form, but which would have schwas in their normal use, and also in the unstressed syllables of content words such as salad, lettuce, cabbage, and tomato, where all of the underlined vowels have become a schwa. I think it's really useful to be able to talk about the number of syllables with students in an ESL class, as well as which syllable is stressed, so the first syllable, second syllable, third syllable, fourth syllable. So it helps us to analyze a lot about the utterance. For example, in A, 8 years passed before she met a fellow human, we have 12 syllables, but only 6 content words. And in B, it felt as if she was in a world of her own, we have 13 syllables and only 3 content words. So I help students to learn how to count syllables, and this allows us to have the meta-language to talk about which syllable is reduced. For example, in words such as incapable, I can tell the students stress the second syllable and reduce the other syllables. And if we have a silent syllable in a word such as vegetable, I can say that most native speakers of Canadian English completely remove the second syllable, which is in writing but not in spoken English. And it also allows us to talk about how reduced syllables don't take a musical beat in English when we're talking about the rhythm of English and the timing of English. And I also asked you to transcribe the sentences, and your transcription may differ slightly depending on the way you pronounce the sentences or on the style of transcription that you're using. But here's what I have. 8 years passed before she met a fellow human. 8 years passed before she met a fellow human. So 8 years passed before she met a fellow human, and then B, it felt as if she was in a world of her own. It felt as if she was in a world of her own. It felt as if she was in a world of her own. You'll notice in B that I've taken away the H in her completely, and most native speakers of Canadian English remove the H on his and her if it occurs mid-sentence or end of sentence, but of course not at the beginning of a sentence. So you'll start to notice that if you listen for it. And so the ability to transcribe spoken English allows us to show students how to pronounce something as opposed to how it's spelt, and allows us to start to realize the way we speak as well. So that's the end of part 1.